I knew when I heard that Charlie Kirk had been shot and then, of course, killed,
Mm,
that that was bad. Like, it was bad, not just for Charlie Kirk, which it was horrible for him, but it was
mm,
bad for our nation.
yeah,
And it was going to be super divisive, and it absolutely has been. So I don't
yeah,
know how to not talk
that's
about
true.
that. I think we have to talk about that.
Yep.
And then let me take this a little further because nobody's buying the story from the FBI. I mean, like,
Yeah.
nobody, not the left, not the right, not nobody. Welcome to another episode of the Bloomburg Democrat. I'm Sally Taylor. This is my enigmatic younger brother, John Daniels. And we're here to talk about some more of the crazy going on in the United States of America.
Yeah.
And we kind of took a break from it last week and talked about science and space and a little bit of what's
Well,
going on
a little, a
politically
little
with that.
bit, possibly a little sci-fi, but who knows?
Yeah, maybe a little sci-fi. Yeah, a little bit of that possibly. But within the last 2 weeks since we last talked about political events, it's just been overwhelmingly bad.
Yeah.
It's just been really
Yeah.
bad.
It's amazing to think that it's been so bad in such a short time. Like it's only been since January, and it's not even October yet, and so much has happened. And if it continues in this, what is it like a linear
Direction. It's becoming
exponential?
exponential. Yes,
If
it
it
does seem to
continues
be.
in this trend, it's going to really just be unbelievable by the end of four
Yeah.
years.
I feel like the United States is very quickly just imploding.
Yes,
Um,
and I feel like people are going to have to do something about it. Like Congress is going to have to stand up and
yeah.
say, "Wait a second, I don't like where this is
Well,
going."
we already know that's not happening. So I will say,
Well,
though,
well,
people are standing up, John. They are.
yes, it's true.
Because and this was the topic that we're going to focus on, at least initially. Maybe we'll have a second topic at the end. um Jimmy Kimmel
Mhm.
is back on the air specifically because the people voted with their dollars,
Yeah, yeah,
and they said no, we are
yeah,
not willing to lose our free speech to corporate America and bullies.
yeah. And corporate America listened a little bit and thought, "We like money. We want to keep the money flowing," and
Right.
they did something about it.
And they backed down.
Yeah,
So, and we knew that despite their claims otherwise, we knew that Jimmy Kimmel was next on the chopping block after Stephen Colbert
yes.
because
Trump
they
Trump told us that he
advertised
was.
it broadly.
Yes, yeah.
Jimmy
He told
Kimmel's
us.
next.
Yeah,
And even when he thought that he thought he was canceled, he
yeah.
was saying that Jimmy Fallon and who's the other
And
one?
Seth,
Seth Meyers were
Seth
next.
Meyers.
He
Yeah.
said it out loud. They're
Yes, he did.
next.
Yeah.
So for him, he's
NBC,
just
do the right thing, or just do it, or whatever it was he said.
just do it, right? So
Yeah.
he's just knocking down the blocks one at a time and is really proud of himself.
Yeah.
But this time, it didn't so much happen with Colbert because he's still on the air until
Yes,
early
yes,
next
yes.
year.
He's only soft fired.
Um, right. It's a soft firing. His
Yeah.
show is canceled at the end of the season.
Right.
So it was kind of harder to get people geared up for that. But Jimmy Kimmel was taken off immediately.
Yeah, really quickly
Yeah.
for basically nothing. Like that, his comments were
Right.
about about the Trump administration and
Exactly.
conservatives in general, and
Yes.
still pretty soft ball there. I mean,
It
there was
was a very
nothing.
softball. Well, that
Yeah.
was just the excuse.
Of
It
course, it was
just
just the
happened
excuse.
that the Charlie Kirk event had just happened. There's still a lot of people who were reeling from it,
Yeah. Yep.
right? And so, as clear as his words were, he said nothing untoward about Charlie Kirk or his
Yep.
family.
Yep.
He was talking about MAGA and
Yeah.
their absolute desperate need for the shooter not to be one of their own.
Yeah.
And that real like rush to prove that he was a
Yeah.
crazy
Well,
liberal.
they were definitely in a canceling spree, right? They wanted to cancel everybody. None of the news that I've read, and I've just read, I guess, regular mainstream news, and maybe that's the problem. But everybody's just kind of like, yeah, it's just a kid from a conservative family, and he was, for personal reasons, disliking his sometimes hateful rhetoric, decided to do things on his own. I
Right.
mean, that's what I've read.
And that's the general story right now that is in mainstream media.
Right.
I do want to come back to this later, and I want to cover it very lightly and briefly because I don't like dwelling on the Charlie Kirk incident for just
Mm.
reasons of my own.
Yeah.
But the other thing that Jimmy Kimmel did was he bashed Trump
Hmm.
basically for his complete lack of empathy
Yeah.
when
Oh, well,
asked
yes.
about Charlie
Yes.
Kirk's death and how was he holding up.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
pretty
doing
well. Have
fine.
you seen my trucks?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you
Building
seen the
my new
ballroom we're
ballroom?
building?
Right.
And then
I
just
mean,
on
he
and on and on
just
about ballroom for a while.
threw it off. Yeah, he
Yeah.
just that's
Yeah, I'm doing
because
great. Because he didn't care.
sociopaths don't care.
Something very interesting I read just the other day. Um, there was some thing that happened. There was like a little event, and somebody was getting on an airplane, and Trump said, "Well, I hope you have a great flight, because I'm gonna be on the flight. If I wasn't, I wouldn't care." You know, like,
He did the same thing at Charlie Kirk's memorial by saying, I hate my enemies. I don't wish well for them.
yes, I find this very interesting that people on the right have been very quick to want to try and get people fired for having similar comments about Charlie Kirk, and yet we can see basically the exact same attitude from many people in the administration or on the right, and no one says anything about it. Like, I mean, it's obviously different to lose your job and to lose your life, but there are some parallels. If you can't work, it's really hard to feed yourself and feed your family, right? If you become
Yeah.
homeless, where's your
And there have
life?
been a lot
You
of
know?
people that did get fired immediately after the Charlie Kirk shooting because of something they posted on social media.
One life destroyed is not enough, right? We have to destroy more
Right.
lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I heard something like 200 teachers in Texas were fired because of something they posted about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
This in a state that needs teachers,
Yeah.
right? Most leave
And
within 5 years.
people who seem to love free speech when it is what they want it to be.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so now Pam Bondi is talking about making hate speech a crime.
Right.
But the Supreme Court
Oh,
has repeatedly said hate speech is free speech.
yes, yes, yes. And
Not that I like hate speech. I
no,
don't
I kind
want
of
hate
think
speech.
maybe it would be a good idea to make hate speech a crime. And I bet you there's going to be a whole lot of conservative people who are sent to prison because of it. So
Right.
yeah,
Well,
sure, go for
and
it. Because
that's the reason Ted Cruz doesn't like what's happening.
yeah, leftists do not commit hate speech crimes very often, right?
No.
This is going to be a very punishing thing for Trump supporters if they
Yeah.
decide to make hate speech a crime.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I knew that initially Charlie Kirk's death was bad for the entire nation. It was, of course,
Yeah,
horrible for him and his family. It was a
of course.
complete tragedy. Would
Yeah,
never have wanted such a thing to happen,
yeah,
but it impacted the nation in really tragic ways as well.
yeah.
Not just those who grieved Charlie Kirk, but those who
Right.
disagreed with him have also suffered as a result of his murder.
Yeah, yeah,
And so here we are, waiting to see if Trump's latest threat to ABC, because as soon as Kimmel was back, he openly threatened them again.
Yeah.
with lawsuits. Oh, they've given
Oh
me
yes.
16 million already. This
Yes.
looks more lucrative.
Wouldn't that be part of like the NDA? Is he not breaking an NDA by
He probably is, but
announcing
does
how
he
much
care?
money? Yeah, well,
Does he
clearly he does
care?
not care. But I think maybe lawyers might care because they can get
Of
paid.
course they will. Well, and the thing is he threatens all the time, and
Yeah.
his threats 9 times out of 10 don't come to anything. And even he
Mm.
loses the vast majority of his lawsuits. He doesn't care because the lawsuit itself is the vindication. It's the punishment that he's
Right, right, right.
inflicting,
Right.
right? He doesn't care if he wins or loses. It's great if he does because he likes the money. But even if he
Right.
loses, he just walks away and goes and sues the next guy that he's mad at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then we have the whole UN debacle. Did
Yes.
you
Oh
listen to
my
his UN
God, I
speech?
did. I did listen to that. Wow.
And he's
Did you
so
listen
mad
to the
because he's
part like right after the teleprompter went off? Because it's pretty funny.
because he didn't know what to do. Because
He
he
really
didn't
had
really
no clue.
he does not prepare. We already know. All of his
Yeah.
people know that he doesn't prepare.
Yeah.
Once that teleprompter's gone, he has no idea what he's supposed to say.
Yeah.
And so then he starts to riff on anything that is at
All
the
your countries are
top of
going to
his
hell.
mind. Yeah. And he's
Oh God.
certain that not only did the escalator stop because somebody was coming after him by stopping the escalator, but the
Yeah.
teleprompter stopped working because somebody was coming after him.
Right,
The
right,
problem
right,
was
right.
is he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And the man gets furious when he's embarrassed.
Well,
He
I
was
hope somebody
embarrassed.
was going after him because
Yeah.
it means that people are kind of standing
Well,
up.
the thing is
Even
is
in
that
small ways, but it's very
they know why
unlikely,
the
right?
elevator or the escalator stopped. It stopped
Probably a
because
videographer kicked the button or
yep,
something.
yep.
They turn it around with a
And
camera.
right, right. But
Uh-huh.
if you look at his face when it first stopped and he turned
Oh
around
yes.
glaring, looking for somebody to blame,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He
yeah,
did
yeah.
not, he is not the healthiest president ever, and
No,
much to
you'd
the
have to walk
dismay
up.
of what they
Yes,
want to
he should have
claim.
just gone back down and taken the next one that was still going up,
Yeah, the
or
one to the
gone
side.
back down, or even take the stairs. Stairs are easier than an escalator every time. Those escalator
Yeah,
steps are wide and deep, when
right.
stairs
Yes,
are much
they
easier to
have
go
a
up.
much higher rise on them.
Yeah,
But he was pissed.
yeah,
And he was also pissed because he was not prepared and didn't know what to say when the teleprompter quit.
yeah.
And so he just started rambling.
I'm really
And
good at
it
this.
yeah, yes. All the clear signs of dementia, which have been
uh,
developing,
well,
fast and
anytime
furious.
someone's trying to explain how great they are, they're usually not very great people, right?
No,
I mean, how many
no.
people do you know who is always trying to convince people how wonderful they are, and you think that person's great?
Well, it's narcissists, sociopaths, maybe psychopaths, and people with dementia. Those are the ones
Yeah,
who do it.
yeah,
They're all bullies, or
yeah.
they get this
Maybe he's hit the
grandiose sense
trifecta.
of I think he has.
Yeah.
I think that's really pretty well documented at this point. So yes, the world knows that we have a mad king
Yes.
because they were submitted to his abusive rhetoric, and we're moving on as if life is normal.
Well,
I
it is basically normal for the United States. I mean, since second Bush at least, to have this level of leadership.
no, it's really much worse, John. It's really
Well,
much. I
I
would take back
know.
either of the Bushes in a heartbeat over what we're working with right now.
Yeah.
In a
Well, it was
heartbeat.
more bumbling before and less hate, and now we've
Right.
got maybe a greater amount of bumbling and a whole lot more hate.
And a
So,
lot more hate. Yeah.
yeah. But it's but I mean that was kind of, at least for me, that was a big turning point. That was the second Bush was really just
It was pretty bad.
yeah.
I didn't vote for him. However, uh he in if you look at him now in hindsight, he wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, no, he
And
was just kind of
and
a
in
funny
retirement,
guy, I guess.
he seems to be yeah, he was funny. He was funny, he was
Yeah.
charming, he wasn't entirely bright, but
Yeah.
he was essentially still a good person. I think he was
Yeah,
trying to be good.
well, okay, and that's something that I've recognized. I think, for example, Charlie Kirk and probably Steve Bannon and all these people who are on the right and who are often made a target are they think they're doing the right thing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Um,
they do.
so recently religions have all been going crazy about Charlie Kirk and how like similar to 9/11 after a big disaster, people want to go to church and things. And supposedly like 30% increase in Sunday attendance after Charlie Kirk was killed. And and so I think they think that they're doing the right thing, and but their idea of the right thing is maybe different from people who don't agree with their particular religion, right? So,
Right.
and this is something that I
Because
think
it's
every religion needs to work on, is you need to understand not everyone believes in your religion, and your religion is
exactly.
not the rule for everybody else. It's the rule for you, right? We
And very often
choose
those religions
religions.
are the basism for misogyny, for
Yes.
racism, for
Yes.
these, more authoritarian types of leadership,
Yes.
that people want to just give over, any of their own decision-making
Yep.
responsibilities
Right.
to
But I
have
think we
somebody else tell them
forget
what to do.
we forget that religion is a personal choice. And when it's a
Sure.
personal choice, it means it's only applicable to the people who choose it, right?
Right.
And other people may have different religions. And for them, that they may have the same type of strong convictions. They think that their religion is right. So should you have to join their religion? No. So they don't have to join your religion, right?
Exactly. Right.
And so religions tend to have this idea that they're the only ones who are right, and so everyone else has to be like them. But no, okay, fine. If you want to think that you're the only one who's right, great, revel in it. Watch the rest of us burn in hell and be happy that it's not going to be you. But
Right.
we're pretty happy with what we got too, you know?
Right.
And we're not going to
Right.
join you. Certainly not under the threat of whatever, hellfire or
Right.
whatever. So you
Right.
got to understand, religion is a very personal thing. It's personal for everyone. It's personal for you. It's personal for me. It's personal for our neighbors. And we're all going to have different ideas and we're not going to agree on things. So keep it personal,
Well, which is
right?
why it's should never be part of government.
Of
It
course
should
not.
never be part of how government makes its decisions. And
Of course
even our
not.
founding fathers knew that.
And it should not be plastered on our school walls because if we're going to plaster
Exactly.
one religion's
You got to plaster them all.
propaganda, you got to plaster them all because
Yeah.
everyone feels just as strongly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to invite more trouble down the road, you
Yeah.
know? France has lots of problems with people of different religious beliefs because I feel like maybe they're not being accepted as well as the government is attempting to have them be accepted, you know? And it's not just France, but that's what I have personal experience with. Um, Lots of countries in the world have people of various religions, and yet we have a dominant religion, and the dominant religion does not understand the ways of the minor religions, and they don't welcome them and accept them.
Theocracy always removes personal freedom.
Yeah.
Theocracy
Yes.
always removes personal freedom.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that didn't.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, we've kind of gotten off on this tangent because of Charlie Kirk,
Yeah.
and this way that he has been sort of shifted into martyrdom
Yeah.
by
He's being
the
held up as,
Christian
as like
nationalist right.
a Christian symbol. Yes, that's right.
Right.
And
But for
I
a
do not
large
know
number,
if that's what he wanted. I don't know. Um, I think he probably was religious and it probably influenced him strongly. But does he want religions to then make him their banner? And I mean, which religion was he? And because in Christianity we have a lot of different little sects, and
right,
and so does
right.
he want people going to other sects simply because the people who are in charge are holding him up as a banner? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want that. Maybe he does. I don't know what he wants. But
Well, he did claim to believe in freedom of speech, right?
yes,
And he spent
yes,
his life using that freedom of speech.
yep, yep,
That said, a lot of people felt that his speech was also hateful, you
yes,
know, and it's
yep,
because it harmed their personal freedoms, you
yeah,
know, it
yep,
harmed their ability to be who they wanted to be in the world.
yeah,
And so, or it harmed them because he thought that women should be at home having babies, you know,
yeah.
and not all women want to do that.
How
Or that
ironic
Black
would it
women
be?
don't have the mental capacity to fill the roles, that they're only there because of DEI. I mean, he
Yeah,
said these things.
yeah. So
And
how
people say,
ironic would
oh,
it
it was
be?
taken out of context. Well, no, that context is not going to change those words.
Yeah, if one of these days there is a some type of a new law that removes hate speech from protected speech, how ironic would it be if it somehow ends up bearing his name, right?
Yeah.
Because politicians
Well,
love to do this, you know?
yeah. And it might do, because there are, universities that are trying to make sure that all state universities have a statue of Charlie Kirk now on campus. That's in
Oh yeah.
Oklahoma.
Oh my
I mean, they're
goodness.
finding all kinds of ways to deify him.
Yeah, it's
And
strange.
while I may not have agreed with everything he believed, and I
Yeah,
certainly did not,
yeah,
his death was a tragedy. I felt it immediately, not just for him and his family, that was true, but
yeah,
for our nation,
yeah,
because it has been used as his death has been used as a way to further divide our country.
yeah.
And that
It's true.
is a tragedy of its own.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people who have died in this fight for America in the past recent few years, and none of them have been held up in the same way.
No,
And
no.
I wonder why.
Well, okay, I'm not conspiratorial, John, but I am going
Mm.
to drop a little conspiracy on you now.
Okay.
And we talked about this briefly
Ah, yes.
beforehand. So
Mm.
there is some strong, strong, strong evidence for me at this point, and I've watched it. Unfortunately, I have watched it, that Charlie Kirk was not shot from the direction that it was claimed.
Yeah.
That the wound on his neck is an exit wound. And I'm not going to go far into this. If you are interested, you can go look it up. There's
Yeah.
lots of people, mostly on the right of politics, who are
Mm.
saying what we're being told is not accurate,
Yeah.
that he was killed from a different direction, and that puts everything the FBI has provided as their evidence into deep, deep, deep concern for
Yeah.
being completely false.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go further into the details of that, other than to say there's a lot of stuff out there. Go look it up.
Yeah.
Most people immediately sort of looked at the text messages that were supposedly between Tyler Robinson and his roommate as completely suspect. Didn't sound
Hmm.
like a 22-year-old. It gave out way too much sort of level of detail with of punctuation, words that would never be used, complete sentences. I don't know a 22-year-old that texts in complete sentences, but maybe he
Yeah.
does. Who knows? But it's really fishy. There's a
Yeah.
lot that's very suspect about that text message, including what's missing out of it. Not only what's included, because there's way too much included as
Hmm.
far as the timeline that they were trying to create, but there's a lot missing as well. So maybe there was some other motivation for
Hmm.
Charlie Kirk's death and
Hmm.
what it might accomplish. I'll just put it that
Hmm.
way. If it's true that Charlie Kirk was shot from a different direction, Tyler Robinson is not guilty of it, and he's already
Yeah.
saying he didn't do it. I'm I don't know enough about how he was turned in with his bishop and his dad saying that
Yeah.
he had confessed. I don't know enough about what was going on there to understand that completely,
Yeah.
but he's now saying he didn't do it.
Well, I mean, if you don't maintain your innocence, in court, you're, I don't know, I think you're really dumb. You got a chance of getting out if you say you're
Yeah.
innocent, and if you plead
Well,
guilty, then you're going to jail. So,
and here's the thing, if he's not the one that did it, but all of this sort of evidence is being created to try to prove that he did,
mhm,
and there's way more fishy about this stuff than what I'm actually sharing, but he's facing the death penalty.
yeah,
I asked a question on my own Facebook at one point because I watched the video of Tyler Robinson when he was reading his scholarship acceptance level for the semester of school that he went to.
mhm,
And as a teacher, I got a strong spectrum vibe from the kid,
mhm,
meaning that
mhm,
he's on the autism spectrum somewhere.
mhm,
And I just asked the question, is anybody else getting this vibe that this kid is on the spectrum? And all the teachers said, yeah, yeah, for sure.
mhm,
And so yet again, there's something for me that's vulnerable about this kid that should never put him at risk of death over something that there seems to be a lot of evidence maybe he isn't even responsible for it.
mhm. So, okay, so for me, like an obvious question that would occur, um, in trying to decide whether or not this is something that could be conspiratorial or whatever, um, is like, how did they know that there was going to be somebody there to be the scapegoat, right?
Right. I agree. I think that is fishy.
Yeah.
And was this kid sort of
Because otherwise, who was going to take the blame,
set
right?
up?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Was he set up to be the fall guy? And I don't know how that would occur. Again, we're getting conspiratorial here now.
Yeah, because there's absolutely,
But
probably absolutely no evidence of anything of that, right? It would have
right, but
probably, they
there's
would have tried not to create any evidence and destroyed anything that might have happened. And
yeah. Well, and there's so much to this. If you want to go to the right-wing podcasters that are
I
looking
don't
at
really want
the
to
evidence, oh
go
well,
see
I know.
snuff films. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, and that's why I'm like, you got to do the ones that don't have video if you can. But
Yeah.
when they lay out the list of things that do not line up with the FBI story,
Yeah.
it starts to feel a bit overwhelming. And, we've got a podcaster running the FBI.
I felt the same way after 9/11. I think I talked about this just a little bit earlier. I remember very clearly 9/11. I was in like my first year of university, and woke up to my roommate watching TV. I was living in the dorms, and it was the first building had already been hit, I think, and then we watched the second building get hit as well, and it was very surreal, for sure. But I remember then, after a few days, weeks, months, whatever, um, there was a documentary called Loose Change 9/11, where they just asked all the questions that didn't seem to add up, right?
Right,
Why was it that the airplane that hit the Pentagon, there were no engines left? The hole was really small. There were no wing damage to the building, it seemed. Why is it that it just happened to hit a part of the Pentagon that was under construction, but also housing a bunch of classified documents?
mm,
And I mean, a bunch of weird stuff that just kind of
right,
happens. And then, like, supposedly there was money and the World Trade Center in the form of gold bars, and it was in the basement. And then supposedly some of it was removed, if not all of it. And then where did that stuff go? And so lots of questions, and that's what Loose Change 9/11
right,
was about. One of them being, why did building number 7 fall? Because it was not hit by an airplane, and it looked like just maybe some debris had fallen onto it, but then it went from like an upper story fire to the whole building collapsing, which is
right,
really strange. And I mean, building number 7 is even in some punk songs, like World Trade Center number 7
right.
is an interesting song that I'd recommend you listen to, just because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And but anyways, so I understand there can be a lot of unanswered questions that you can have when there's
Hmm.
something that is traumatic, especially, but something that is often kind of steeped in secrecy and used
Right.
to support actions that reasonable people might not otherwise take, right?
That's the key.
Yeah.
Yes, because we then ended up
Yes.
going to war
In
with a country
Afghanistan,
that actually
for
had
sure.
nothing to do
And then Iran.
with
Oh,
nine
sorry,
11.
Iraq. In Iraq.
Yeah, Iraq. We
And
went to
yes,
Iraq.
and they had nothing to do with it. And it was just an
Right.
excuse. And
It was an excuse. But the
yeah,
American people were mad. They were riled. And it
yeah,
was an opportunity for them to start something that they would not normally otherwise be able to start. So
yeah,
whether or not our government or some other entity orchestrated 9/11, and
yeah,
that's horrific to even think of,
yeah,
whether or not they did, they used it politically.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
whether or not Charlie Kirk was killed for more nefarious reasons than a kid who's angry and doesn't like his hate speech,
yeah.
the
You know,
government has been using it for more nefarious purposes.
I wonder if we are where we are because of Osama bin Laden. His goal was to undermine the fabric of America,
Right. Well, and
right?
he's not the only one.
No,
Putin has a similar goal,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And
Um, um,
there's certainly somebody, either I would like to say Russia or China just because of the scale of it. But did you hear about the uh, the swatting that has been taking place towards elected officials, and then when they decided to research who's been doing all the swatting, and if you're not familiar with what swatting is, it's where you call
no.
the police and you say, I'm going to kill my wife, I'm going to kill myself, and then they send the SWAT team to your house, and yet you give them the address of somebody you don't like.
Well, I
And
have
so then
heard, I did hear of at least that
police
happening at least once in the
the
US.
police break into your house and shoot whoever they see, and often innocent people are being murdered by
Right.
the police because somebody called and made threats.
And
And this
where
is
is that
called
occurring?
swatting. And this has been
Okay.
happening to elected officials in the United States.
Okay.
And
I am aware of
so
at least one incidence of that.
the government has kind of followed up on this, and they found several apartments in New York City and around New York City that had some of these, like it's like a cell phone server kind of a thing. It's a box with a bunch of antennas. And so cell phones that are trying to connect to an antenna, like the regular towers, or the 5G or whatever,
Right.
they instead, because the signal is a little bit closer and stronger to these little small boxes, their calls get routed through. And so, but they also use these things for their burner phones to kind of hide their tracks and this kind of thing. And so they've been covering up all of these, who knows how much crime has been going through these networks, and they've found like 300 of these servers across
Wow.
New York, greater New York metropolitan area, and took them offline. But wow, this is not an easy thing to do. Hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of SIM cards, like 100,000 SIM cards. Those things aren't super cheap. If they're 20
No.
bucks each, that's 100,000 times 20. That's like $2 million. I mean,
And
just
who
in
are they
SIM cards.
claiming is responsible for putting
Oh,
these
they don't
in
know.
place?
They don't know. They're thinking criminal organizations and foreign governments is really the only thing they
Wow.
have to say. They don't know. Or if they do
Wow.
know, they're not pointing fingers publicly. Yeah.
Well, this just went a whole other direction I wasn't even expecting.
There's a lot of interesting
Um,
news going around right now
there's
if you
so
stop
much
looking at
going
just
on.
the main stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy.
But I'm big on discernment, right? I will look at these things just to assess them
Yeah.
and try not to make assumptions. For me at this point, though, the evidence that Charlie Kirk was not killed from the front is very, very strong.
Mhm.
And that then raises a whole nother set of questions about what's going on at the FBI. We're in a dark place in the United States.
Yeah.
It's not yet getting better. I'm
No.
hoping things like the crazy UN
Oh, Sally, it's gonna
day
it's
for
gonna it's
Trump
gonna be a while, I'm afraid. It's gonna be a
might
while.
wake a few people up. I mean, I don't
If
know.
if you guys can figure out how to get Trump out of office quick, then maybe it'll turn
Yeah.
around like sometime soon.
It's gonna have to
But
be the Republican Party that
yeah,
does it.
yeah,
Although we did get a new Democratic House member, out of, is it Arizona that just had a,
It
a
might have been Arizona.
special election?
Yeah.
So now I think they might have the numbers to call for the release of the Epstein files.
Mm.
And I've also wondered if that still isn't also connected to all of this.
Well, it's
Charlie
definitely
Kirk,
connected to all of the
yeah,
Venezuelans being murdered and
yeah,
whatnot.
yes, because now there are 3 boats on that they've shot out of the waters in Venezuela in
Yeah.
international waters. But Charlie Kirk had waffled on the Epstein file issue.
Yeah.
He had first
Yes,
been
he
release,
did.
release, release. Then he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I trust the president." And then he started to
Yeah.
say release again.
Yeah.
And so my first intuition was that it had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Again, whether or not it does or not, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's going to have to be the Republican Party that says
Mhm.
enough is enough. And since
Yeah.
Ted Cruz is now speaking out about free speech, maybe, maybe there's a chance.
Mhm. You know, I saw a very interesting episode of The Daily Show yesterday. It was a little bit late, so I was getting tired, but it was a woman from the Philippines. I think maybe she was a reporter or something, and when
Maria,
—
Daily Show.
possibly. Yes.
Yeah.
It was really
Yes,
good.
I
It
saw
was
that.
really interesting.
Hmm.
And
I
she
saw that
talked
one.
about, yeah, about how the things that are happening now in the United States are also what happened in the
In the
Philippines, basically
Philippines.
for with Duterte. And
Yeah.
basically just exactly the same. And she's
Yeah.
like, this is going to happen here.
Right.
And it's happening.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Like
also,
clockwork
Duterte is also now in the Netherlands in prison
in jail.
with the
Yeah.
International Criminal Court,
Right. Right.
and it's not looking
Yeah.
good for him. That
Yeah.
dirty
No,
SOB.
she was wonderful. And it's, yeah, she's like, they tried it on a small scale first. And really,
Mhm.
social media was the crux of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
How they used social media for the propaganda and how it divided the nation and
yeah,
allowed for this
yep,
authoritarian
yep. And this is what Jimmy Kimmel has
dictator.
said as well, right? Get off of
Hmm.
social media. Put it
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
because you're just hurting yourself. I agree. I stopped.
Yeah.
I had enough. When I started to feel bad, that's enough. Time to stop.
And the problem is so many people are getting their news from just social media.
This is
All
the world
right,
we
brother.
live
I
in.
know you're tired. I know you're
Yeah,
tired. I'll let you go to bed.
that's all right. Thank you. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.